If you work with foam insulation, this tool is insanely valuable. This is a hot knife cutter, which I'm sure you've seen before. But what's useful about it is it has a shapeable wire. And this wire can be shaped to whatever you want. So for Quik-Therm insulation, for example, we want to shape it like a 3-inch wide by 3/4 inch piece of plywood because our product has embedded plywood strapping. So if you want to just put a piece of strapping somewhere, you're going to have a pretty hard time with your cladding going up 3/4 inch. So we need to embed this into the panel. By using this hot knife cutter, we can cut out a slot, which I've already done. Ta-da, TV magic. And this can fit right in. And now you have your embedded plywood furring simply with this nice tool right here. I'll show you how to put it all together and how it works, best ways, best practices, things like that. So thank you very much. Hope you enjoy. So this is the electric foam cutter knife. This is the original box that it comes in. And we'll take it apart, I'll lay everything out, and then we'll go through how to assemble it all. All right, so I have everything laid out here. On the left side, I have the components of the hot knife cutter, the tools that come with it. So quickly, I'll just go through kind of the most important aspects of this and what we're gonna be looking at. So this is the base and the trigger of the hot knife cutter. We're gonna attach everything essentially to this. This would be kind of the face of the cutter itself. This would rub against the foam as you're cutting it. This long piece here, this is the shapeable knife. So we're gonna bend this into the shape that we want for our specific system. And then they also give you some other components here too that might be interesting to you. So these are actual just hot knives. So what this can do is you can just attach this kind of right in here. You can see how that might go. And it'll just cut a slot out. So it's not shapeable, it'll just cut a giant slot. But if you need to cut a giant slot, then these are nice attachments to have. Other than that, I'm just going to kind of put some of these tools that we don't need away and we'll get started assembling the product. So simply, the base of this has some set screws here and we're going to loosen these screws, pull them out and drop this base into it. I don't know if you can see that or not, but you can see how I've untightened these set screws. And this little piece here is kind of dangling. So this is the slot. These right here are going to fit into these slots here. Take this and we just put it together. It should just slide in like that. So now I go back to our other side and just retighten these set screws here. So now we have our base plate on here. And now we're ready to bend this guy. So this is our bendable hot knife. And what you're not gonna see on the camera very well, I don't know if it's gonna pick it up, is there's a bevel on one of these edges, like the edge of a knife. You want that to go in the direction that you plan to push the knife. So when you bend this, you're going to want to have that bevel on the outside face, okay? So right now the bevel is up here, right? So I want to keep it up here. So I'm going to bend it this way and this way. If I bend it the other way, the knife is going to be on the inside and it's not going to cut as nicely as we want. So let's make sure we keep the bevel on the outside of our bend. I'll show you what that means. So the other component I brought to the party is an actual piece of 3/4 inch plywood that is 2 7/8 wide. You can do 3 inches as well, totally fine. So I'm gonna actually use this to guide our shaping process because ultimately this is what's in the Quik-Therm product embedded in the foam. So we're gonna replicate this with the shape of our hot knife cutter. So we make sure we know our bevel is on the outside here, right? So where my thumb is, the top part here, that's where the knife is. We're just gonna take it, put it on here, and make a very slight bend. And now, from that point, we're just gonna turn it and bend it right around the wood. Other side, keep some pressure on this so it doesn't bend. Bend it around the wood. Real simple. Don't even need a measuring tape. Doesn't have to be like insanely accurate. You know, it's gotta be within an eighth or so. And there we go. Now we have our shape. Pretty easy. Our beveled edge is on the outside of this part, right? And now we will install this into our actual knife. And we have these set screws over here and here. We're going to undo these, and these little squares right here are going to move. And that is what the hot knife is actually going to slot into. So take our Allen key again, or the one on the back if you're in the field. We're just going to undo these slightly. Nothing crazy. They're pretty tight actually. So now you can see this can move. So we're going to take our bend, our knife, and we really need to make sure we know where the bevel is. Honestly, it's not super easy to see. There it is. You can even use a marker and put marker on it. And we're going to take this, we're going to make sure our bevel is at the top. So our bevel is going to be at the top of this. We're going to loosen these enough so this can fit in. Let's see if I can do this with you being able to see it. So that just fits in just like that, right? You can see it goes into this slot here. And same with the one on the other side. Perfect. Now I'm going to tighten this up just to make my life easier. So I've tightened this side. You see this side's still loose. I can move it. Okay. So to show you, you just tighten the set screw. But what's important is down here, there's this little block, and you should have it fast tightened so it's totally flush. You shouldn't see there's a little square you can see right now, right? And then when I turn it, it's gone. You shouldn't see that square at the top. It should be nice and flush with the rest of the machine, okay? You could measure this with a tape if you want. You need 3/4 inches thick to make sure that you hit the same depth as the battens or the furring strips that are gonna go into the foam. I just go back to our wood, insert the wood. I loosen those set screws just a little bit, and then put your wood in here, right? Push this tight. And then we're just gonna tighten this side up here quick. All right, so now we have our bend. We're gonna cut these off, but first, before you do that, I would just test it out. So I'm just gonna run this through a sample quick, try it out, make sure the wood fits into the sample properly, and then after that, we'll trim these off. Our beveled edge is on the outside and also at the top of here. And the main reason why we want that beveled edge in the right spot, it's gonna help just guide this move through the foam, but also we wanna push, not pull when you're using this. If you pull, you can actually like pull it out of the product and you might not get the same depth that you need. If you push, you'll always maintain the same pressure against the wall or the panel, and that way you'll keep that depth. So I'll show you what I mean by just cutting out a slot here. So you hold down the trigger, you can see this little light goes on. You can hear it a little bit. And then you just run it through the foam as straight as possible. There you go. So, showed you how to cut one strip, push it, pretty easy. Sometimes you might run in, well, actually, you guaranteed you will run into spots where you need more meat for your cladding attachment system. So say you're cladding at a corner, your trim might need a little bit more than just a 3/4 inch plywood batten. It might need, or 3-inch wide batten. It might need like 6 inches, right? So very simple, you're just gonna cut 2 slots. And really you can use this product around your windows, around your doors, at corners, anywhere where you need to embed plywood, because you can't strap this system because it's already embedded. To cut that in, you can still use this. So since this is 3 inches wide, I'm just gonna do 2 strips and then make an area where you could rip down a piece of plywood and drop it in. So same thing, hold down the trigger, light comes on. See if I can cut this a little straighter than the last one. Yeah, there we go, that's better. And now, if we want another, same thing. There we go. And you can see here, we can put our one batten in and then drop in another. So you could rip down a 6-inch piece of plywood if you wanted to, or you could just take a couple battens. Maybe you have some waste product out of the Quik-Therm, you could rip them out of there, or rip down your own, and you can install it one beside the other, fasten back to your framing, and now your cladding can attach to this. The other thing that we need to do now is actually cut off these extra ends, because we're not 100% certain on this, but I think that there is lost heat and conduction over here, which if we take this away, I think this actually gets hotter and it works even better. So we're just gonna trim this with the tool that they gave us. So just come back here and cut it off. Here and cut it off. There we go. That's it. Now you are ready to go. You are set to drop in any embedded furring anywhere in your wall with the Quik-Therm system. So easy to use, really simple to set up overall. There's like 4 components and they last for quite a long time. Like we've had a bunch of these for a while and they're cheap, but I'll put the link in the description below. But these are really inexpensive. They're like 150 bucks on Amazon. And you can get them whenever. We may even give them to you, who knows. So anyway, thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed it.